like pick if that doesn't happen. And it makes me happy to see the map, to be honest. And coming back to your point about Method, I love how this series is shaping up here today. There's really, both of the teams are going all out here. And there's so much on the line, so it's absolutely understandable. Zealots had a fantastic run with a 6-0 in the first 2 best-of-5s they played here. Now they need to win 2 in a row if they want to go to the mid-season brawl. If Method takes it here, then they're qualified.
Now, as we head to this battleground, something to consider is globals and how powerful they can be on this battleground. How much do they mess with your priority fan if you're drafting for this map?
So globals are definitely very important on Cursed Hollow, but since the rise of the wave clear offlaners, it's gotten a little bit better. You know, if you can pick up a Blaze, it's almost as good as picking up a real global like the Haka, so not as important as it used to be, but still very prevalent.
All right, well, Medivh banned out. Smart choice here by Method. Quitting getting that to AGRD. Zealots will ban out the Malfurion here, so we're going to mix up our rotations a little bit. For our first pick, do we move straight into Blaze here for Zealots? They seem to be continuing to favor him, and with their track record so far this weekend, why not?
Yeah, they played Blaze a lot, as we said. Like in 9 games, they played him 7 times. So is it really first pick worthy for them? Or are they going to head into something else? Abathur, if played, I would still expect him to be picked a bit later in one of the later rotations. Usually we don't see that first pick Abathur anymore that we've seen in the past. You still have, of course, Hanzo to consider. But outside of that, frontline or the offlane, definitely.
Yeah. Interesting to note, they're thinking pretty hard about this because if they don't pick Abathur here, they might just never get a chance to pick it, even if they don't want to first pick it, and they end up deciding to go with it anyways.
All right, Abathur taken. So again, I could have seen a ban against him. I would have expected them to pick him on the 2-3, but that's not the case, and it doesn't really feel as if Method wanted to go for Abathur. But I think that's actually one of the reasons why they picked Abathur in the first spot, because Method chose the map. So you know your opponent wants to play most likely a macro game against you, or at least you suspect it. And then Abathur, of course, really fits the bill. But it seems as if Method had from the get-go planned to go into Blaze and Genji right away with how quickly they chose that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Method was willing to go with either scenario. If the Blaze had been first picked by Zealots, they could have easily gone with the Abathur Genji as well. They're just denying one of the crucial picks, no matter which one from Zealots.
So if you're Zealots here, what are you thinking about immediately? Do you want to grab your tanks?
I mean, the first thing that jumps to mind, again, is immediately I feel Hanzo. Because we've heard about how they always want to lay a defense on him. If you have their support plus Abathur, you can usually play a lot with that. You have the control over the mercenary camps, so that feels like something they could do here.
Sure, there he is.
There's Hanzo, and yeah, frontline would also be good.
There it is. ETC coming out instead. Do you like that, fan? ETC? This early?
ETC is probably to peel more for the Hanzo specifically. In regards to the Genji, as long as Genji doesn't have some form of invulnerability, it is extremely hard to actually get a Dragon Blade swipe off if the ETC is just hovering around the Hanzo.
Yeah, I'm actually also a bit surprised to see how strong Zealots are with ETC. They have a 7-2 track record with ETC.
Wow.
So given the amount of games they play, ETC is only played in 15% of their games, but sitting at a 78% win ratio, that is pretty solid. And we've been talking about Mopsio's ETC for quite some time, and originally he was just too aggressive, too greedy, was always looking for that perfect slide into a mosh pit, and he usually got punished for it. But as he improved as a tank player and got a bit more patient with his engages, he became more and more of a threat on the hero. And they haven't played it as regularly as they did with their Garrosh setup, but ETC, especially with Abathur, definitely quite strong for them. And of course, as Fan said, it's a fantastic tool to just simply peel a little bit more for Hanzo too, especially if Genji is going to make his move.
Yeah, the Tyrael ban here is really interesting because they think that ETC might be a second tank. I want to see Method actually, instead of focusing the Hanzo, I would love it if they focus the ETC instead, because ETC as a main tank is very squishy. You often have problems when you're sliding directly into the enemy team where you no longer have an escape and they will blow you up. And for that reason specifically, I generally don't like the pairing of ETC and Abathur, because Abathur means there is one less body behind you to protect you when you're sliding in. And I find that oftentimes that makes your ETC extra vulnerable if he's going to be sliding in aggressively.
The support on their end is going to be the interesting part, I feel. Because if ETC is going to be the main tank, then as Fan said, you have to keep him alive somehow. And I feel he's going to be heavily prioritized. We've seen that a lot when ETC was played.
Sure.
That game on Battlefield of Eternity with Lauber from Leftovers playing ETC always comes to mind, where he was focused on every single engagement and blown to pieces immediately. Now we have also the combo with the Divine Shield heading straight into the Dragon Blade. Nuburak is there, you have a panic button. I mean, from a defense perspective, this is crazy. You have Blaze, a Nuburak, you can use a Cocoon, you have the stuns available, all the CC to keep your heroes safe. You're flexible in the draft, since your last pick can still adjust to whatever Zealots are going to pick now. So from Method's perspective, I really like this a lot.
I love the pickup from Method too, also for the added fact of, I'm looking at Zealot's draft, I'm like, Uther would actually be okay here. Helps out with ETC, you have Abathur to help out with the Carapace build, so you can keep him alive. You also have the Divine Shield, you have stuns available for Genji. Like, there's a lot of things that Uther could do here. Taking that away is good.
Yeah, I could actually see a Rhaegar as a pick. I would have seen Rhaegar over Uther, because with Abathur and Rhaegar, you have Rhaegar as a copy available. And then you have also additional sustain. The question just is there going to be enough to keep ETC alive? You still want someone else at that front that they can really help you out. So
at this point, Zealots is in a pickle because the Anubarak Cocoon, not only does that get rid of one person, it's going to probably get rid of the Monk and the Palm ability, but Abathur also gets rid of one person on your side of the battlefield. So at this point, Anubarak cocoons someone and Genji goes in with the D-Blade, and no one can touch him because he's going to be invulnerable for 3 seconds. I do not know if Zealots has what it takes to deal with that kind of potential aggression as well.
I mean, the Karazim blow-up is something that Zealots used quite a lot, and Karazim together with Abathur can be frightening if he starts to chase targets down. But now Method has actually an abundance of options of what they could go for on the last pick.
I like Method for teamfight so far, but I look over at Zealots, and if Zealots are able to get a pick, their ability to kill mercenary camps is outstanding right now. They can rush down bosses like crazy.
If Zealots wants to win this game, it will definitely require a lot of help from the macro department, which is pretty much where Method is lacking right now. All 4 of the heroes they've picked so far, great in teamfight, but none of them can actually clear a mer camp fast, so that's what their last pick needs to help with at least.
Bird for the disengage. So quick gust after copy is, for example, used or around the mosh pit. Buying a little bit of time around bosses as well.
Control from mosh pit, as you mentioned, but yeah, they're around bosses too.
Nick has to be careful that he doesn't get jumped by Karazim with an Abathur symbiote on his head, but outside of that, I mean, just simply from a tools perspective, what do we have and utility? I think Method has a fantastic draft that I walk away with here.
It's looking pretty good. What about you, Fan? What do you think about the draft?
Yeah, I like Method's draft a lot. The Falstad helps deal with the split soak from the Abathur, so they won't be losing in that department either. Outside of boss cheese, I think Zealots is going to have a hard time. Yeah.
No, we definitely agree with that. I think for them, it's really all can they confirm kills somehow quickly. And it's going to be rough.
It's going to be rough here. I'm trying to look at this. I'm trying to rack my brain here. But I think I look at this one like 70-30 in the Method favor. Like, it's pretty up there, man. It's looking pretty good. Let's go to game number 4 here and see if Method can shut this down, or if Zealots know something we don't. See if they can shut down their opponents and try to find the momentum they've had all weekend so far.
Game number 4 as we are heading into Cursed Hollow, and Method is in the lead. They are 1 map win away from making it to the mid-season brawl, and to the left side we have Method with Curse on Uther, Nick on Falstad, Arcana on Anubarak, Blaze played by Ethereal Angel, and Genji played by Shrimpy.
On the right side in the red, Zealots. Chris playing Hanzo, Zarmony on Sonya, Mopsy on ETC, Shad on Karazim, and ADRD back on the Slug playing Abathur.
Yeah, at this point, if Method takes it here, they go to the mid-season brawl, and they are close. A great draft for them, but of course, the Zealots, they had so much momentum going into the series. 6-0, not dropping a single map against Trick Esports and against Team Liquid. Now they need to win 2 in a row, and they definitely have the potential to do it, but it is going to be a tall order with the setup that they have here on Cursed Hollow.
Season Marksman, you picked up a Falstad. Looking to go ahead and stack that puppy. Feels pretty good at level 13 too, as we always mention that coordination between Giant Killer and Seasoned Marksman helps you burn down that front line, which Mopsy will be doing his best here to dance around a lot. Don't expect any aggressive power slides from him, especially here in the early game. As mentioned by Fan, it's really easy to punish those.
Yeah, especially if you have, of course, these C-chains that you can stack, and that's definitely true for Method. On level 10, they have also a lot of heroic abilities that sync quite well. It's not only the Divine Shield into a Dragon Blade, but even just the old true and tried isolation setup with a Cocoon and a Gust shortly after can really work for them. So you Cocoon a target, you move in with a team, your opponent is trying to defend, and that's the moment when you Gust them away. And once that the Cocoon target is free, you just go in, drop all the stuns on them, and blow them to pieces. So that can be one of the setups that they are going to potentially use in these team fights. Get an isolation kill, and then go from a 5 versus 5 into a numeric advantage where you just like roll the team fight and carry the momentum. So definitely a lot of potential here after level 10 for Method to get a lead in the game.
Giants go and grab for both of our teams, and Method's actually in a really good position here to defend it. Oh my gosh, ADRD coming in here right underneath the wall. Arcaner, woo! Almost has that MPL. If that MPL connected, Nick could have followed up with a quick hammering, followed up into possibly a lightning rod, and Abathur could have picked off, but
yeah,
he's just fine.
If you get the vision and the stun there in time, I think even Uther was in range for a follow-up stun, so that could have been a dead slug for sure. But ADRD here is able to survive. But still, the aggression and, of course, the pressure against the structures already leading to a slight advantage in experience for Method.
Method going to go ahead and push in this top lane here. The Zero does his best here to protect Sonya from clearing out this giant camp. But as soon as the jet propulsion comes out, Zarmi able to drop down those blades, spin in a circle, and clear them up quickly. Nice clean up here by them.
Talking about giant camps, I mean, we have the same setup down to the bot lane, where we see Zealots with their own camp, and Nick is trying to get that done. But, of course, Chris currently zoning him out with a Hanzo. And both of the teams now on level 4, which is also going to give a bit of an edge towards the Zealot when it comes to camp control, simply because outside of Hanzo they now have also Sonya with Battle Rage. But when it comes to the tributes, there's still a big question. How are they going to fight with Abathur here in the early game? Are they able to get some of these tributes, at least stall them out long enough? Or is this going to be the Method show in the early stages of game number 4?
So far, Zealots are doing a really good job keeping those Giants alive, get them pushing in this bottom lane. Sonya even rotating down as far as she can here to the middle lane to control Genji. Tribute about to spawn in about 4 seconds, so we'll see how exactly Method intends to fight out this area. So far, it looks like they're leaving Blaze in the top lane, and he'll be able to double soak during this phase 2.
Yeah, Transcendence, by the way, the pick on Karazim on 1, that's pretty much the standard right now after we saw a slight buff to the talent. Mopsio here, barely saved, by the way. Great job by Zealots keeping him in play. We see Genji still going up against Sonya in the middle and up to the top. Blaze is just pushing Abathur back. Down here, the attempt by the Zealots to grab one of the tributes, but Method is doing fairly well here. And at the top lane, Abathur just doesn't have what it takes to keep Blaze in check, so time is working in favor of Method here. Yeah,
Method really appreciating and enjoying what they have here. Nice and set up. Curson willing to drop down that stun anytime Mopsio moves in. Shad going for the channel. Arcaner should have the interrupt. There it is. Impale comes out.
Yeah, Curson has the next one, so they're stacking the cooldowns here, doing extremely well around that. Sonya forced to the top lane. Abathur basically saying, I can't deal with this. We're losing too much here. They have level 7 already, and that triggers Genji going down to the bot lane, and immediately the fight is starting up here. Shad is barely surviving, moving out. The grab is about to happen on the tribute as Curson is being shielded by the rest, but here comes again Chris with another scatter arrow, doing well and interrupting once more as Method was trying to grab tribute number 1.
Chris really showing off that range that Hanzo can bring in, putting Nick down to a quarter health. Curson able to grab that tribute, and we've been fighting around this tribute now for a minute and a half, and it seems it might go on for a little bit longer. Genji already back in the middle lane, pushing in. Sonya rotating down between those lanes as Method is starting to get an experience lead.
It's a really awkward scenario for Zealots since they're fighting with 3 versus 3 at the bot lane. But again, Sonya under pressure, Genji moving in, but also down here to the bottom of the map, we're seeing Arcana on a Nuburak being threatened as Mopsio went for the power slide. Shad zoned, is trying to get the channel, and the stun not connecting. Well done, as Zealots are grabbing tribute number 1. And that's a huge relief for them, because that also means that there is no possible scenario in which Method can go for tribute number 3 with a level 10 advantage.
Method, however, jumps up in experience here, a 3/4 lead over their opponents, realizing that they were willing to give that up. Impale unfortunately missing, but they definitely bought a lot of time there. Second tribute they can definitely contest over. But they're about to hit level 9, they're about to grab their Giants as well, and Method is going to have an experience lead over an Abathur composition, which is always nice to have.
Yeah, Method was definitely in a spot where they were willing to stall this out as long as possible just to make sure that their 2 lanes are getting more value. It put a lot of pressure onto Sonya and Abathur, but ideally they would have tried to grab it regardless. That didn't quite work out for them because the interrupt did not connect with Karazim as he completed the channel, but Zealots now still in a spot where they have to play the catch-up game on XP. But as we said before, they have that advantage through mercenary camps, and they are using it mercilessly. Again, the Siege Giants on the bot lane, and also the Knight camp taken.
Nick doing his best to clear this out. He's a little bit better that he got level 7, he has that hammering, so they shouldn't be able to stay alive as long as they've had. Abathur been doing his best to drop in that Carapace shield to heal up those Giants, which is always a nice little tool that you have in your arsenal. Second tribute is up and available in the bottom right corner, and Zealots head over to it, but Method hits level 10. This should be easily theirs.
Well, Chris is ready for the interrupt, and he's going to get this one. The question is, are they going to be ready for the second one? Here's the 10s, all as expected. And the shot is not connecting as we see Hanzo with another attempt to interrupt the tribute channel. So one tribute against one. Both of the teams hit level 10 roughly at the same time. At the top lane, ETC likely could go into stage dive here, could go into mosh pit. Both of them definitely possible if they want to bank their hopes onto the global ability here. Mopsio will go for stage dive. There is false set on the map to be considered, but of course you already run an Abathur in your setup.
Method starting to grab this Night Camp here in the middle, wants to get that pushing in during the next tribute phase. Both of our teams are sitting at 1-1. And something you have to watch out for is you got to keep an eye on that Hanzo. If he is not on the battleground, you should be seeing Method checking out these bosses whenever they can.
Another problem if you go into mosh pit, into stage dive here over mosh pit is if ETC starts to jump into the team fight and there is stage dive, so he needs to be cautious because Forcer can ruin you if you make that play. If he gusts at the perfect time, then ETC lands and will immediately be focused while the rest of the team is gusted away. Talking about the rest of the teams, up here at the top, Zarmany, Ethereal, sorry, is actually going to contest the boss, and Shrimpy's now here as well. They're going for it. Here comes the stage dive. The Divine Shield is in. Down goes Blaze, but the Dragon Blade, can they get the pressure? No, and Nubrak falls, and Zealots all of a sudden not only get the boss, they get a triple kill.
Method attempting to steal away that boss. Ethereal bought as much time as he could on top of the Blaze, even dropped on the bunker as well. But Genji with the Divine Shield just barely stepped off, and the channel was just enough for Zealots to take away their boss that they started.
Get wrecked. That's a horrible spot for them to be in. First of all, they lose another tribute. That's a goner. And at the same time, the boss is already opening up the top lane now. Of course, you have a level advantage through those 3 kills and the damage the boss is dealing 2 structures now as well. Zealots in a fantastic position here. They are in the driver's seat in game number 4 from here on out. Method going for a bit of a gamble as they were engaging into the setup towards the top lane, and they lost.
And Method has to watch his boss here on the bottom left. They know that the threat of it being taken away by both Hanzo and Sonya is very real. With False in the top lane, though, Mopsio is able to bully him out. That boss gets a fort taken away, and Zealous just jump up amazingly in experience here. 13 to just now 12 of Method, and they have a tribute that will be giving Curse soon.
Yeah, and they also are now in the spot where Mopsio is about to complete his level 1. And once that happens, there's even additional sustain for them in these fights. So once you get the proc rock on 20 of the Regeneration Globes, and again, he's 1 away, that is another spike for you in this game. And the 13 talent is holding true to that as well. So now you're in this awkward spot if you're on Method side. Do you go for the tribute? Do you fight against a talent advantage? It's unlikely, but they could try and make it work. But at this point, you can just simply attempt to maybe accept that curse. Because the one thing that they have going for them is they have a global and they have a camp pushing through the top lane. So this curse, if you allow it to happen, is going to be at least to an extent mitigated.
Method's buying time here, so they can get level 13. Ethereal has to use Pyromania just because Zarmany and Mopsio might be coming in for the fight. Using that safely. Falsehead now has Fly available and can rotate in if they would like to. Arcaner has 1 delay, lands it perfectly and drops it on Impale. So it looks like Method are willing to contest this area, but it's a matter of, like, how do you get into this choke? This is very scary for them.
Yeah, top lane is still being pressured, so maybe if Method can stall this out long enough, there will be a dead fort at the top lane. That would at least work out. Siege Giants at the bot lane have been defended against by Blaze, and now he's starting to make his way into this area too. Zealots are all of a sudden in a spot where they're like, do we really fight for this? This is a very unfortunate position for us.
Impale comes out, Zarmany will be the target. Zarmany going forward, trying to get the delay, and he gets it at the last second with the help of Mopsio.
13 versus 13, and by the way, Falstad did not go into Season Marksman. Sorry, he did go into Season Marksman, he did not go into Giant Killer.
Interesting.
Instead, we went for Flow Rider on his part. So, not what you typically see. The synergy with Season Marksman and Giant Killer is something most players prioritize very, very highly to get the extra auto attack pressure against the frontline tanks. But right now, it's all about getting the basic ability cooldowns recharging faster thanks to Flow Rider if your Tailwind is active. So, Nick going for a bit of a variation and a bit of a hybrid build.
Zealots show in the top lane as they clear out that giant push that was coming in, so Method will take the opportunity to open up this bottom lane. At least get the well here in case they want to fight over the boss. The next tribute will also be here in the bottom right corner, so you want to make sure that your opponents don't have any sustain available. So they clear that out. Zealots, on the other hand, grab mercenary camps instead. Get middle wave pushing in there to put False at least on the back foot so they can try and poke and trade out as they need to.
Method is doing this quite well with the rotations. I really like this. The value from getting the fort for free at the bottom of the map was huge. Now, one of the problems they have is that camp that pushes through the mid lane, because they will have to keep one hero in the middle for a long time to try and make sure that it doesn't push through the fort itself. And Abathur, of course, can always help out with a symbiote. So you're trying to stall this out as much as you can. But the tribute is on the map, and ETC with his global is, of course, taking position up at the top. And here comes the stage dive as he needs to go in. Falstad has to fly. That's exactly what he does. The arrow comes in, but it misses.
Barely missing there. Nick still has that Mighty Gust. The bunker is still up available too if they want to grab armor for a second here. Schwimpy low on health, needs a heal from Curse and tearing a trade out against ADRD, and it's not working out too well. Nick also getting jumped and has to cut away.
Great job so far by Zealots here with a nice engage on the side of Method, but not successful in confirming a kill here. Arcana is also low, needs to be cautious. Zarmony missing the spear, but thanks to the 13, dragged in. Here comes Mopsio, gets stunned once. Immediately the jet propulsion comes through there, trying to take him down. Here comes the Dragon Blade and the Divine Shield. Schwimpy attempting to go for the kill. Cocoon is already in play as well. They're trying to get a Sonya kill confirmed, but here's still Shad to consider, and he's trying to move in, but immediately the Mighty Gust and the isolation we've been talking about earlier. The kill confirmed. Curson moves out, starts the channel. Schwimpy looking for Mopsio, trying to find a second, doesn't get it, but the curse is hitting home as we see Uther getting the final tribute for Method.
Incredible teamwork there from Method. They were bruised and battered. They looked like they were going to be poked down by Hanzo and constant Scatteros coming in, but them finding that moment, dodging out on the ETC engage, getting the stun afterwards, making sure not to get hit by the poison spear, gave them just enough to find that cocoon, set up the Mighty Gust, and get a pick. And now they get rewarded with a curse. What can they do with it?
Yeah, the question is just how much do you get out of it, because Zealots have the level 16 talent. So you're trying to get the pressure going, and the 4-man push that we see at the bot lane, that is really the first sign that Method is trying to even push for a keep here. They have Falstad in the middle. They're currently playing it a bit safe because they don't have vision, but here comes the cocoon. Falstad should start to fly down, and that's exactly what he does. Arrow this time connecting with 2, and here comes Zarmony trying to pressure this forward. They're going through the bunker. Quick gust for the disengage before the top lane has fallen. Method is on 16, but Zealots prevented the worst.
Yeah, Zealots should be happy with this actually. Not losing out on their keep walls. They may lose a little bit of damage in this top right corner. They should be able to clear that out. And afterwards, the next tribute is going to be cursed for them. And with double bosses being on the field, Method have to be very careful.
Yeah, Method has to be careful, but they're still back in the game when it comes to an experience perspective. They're on 16 versus 16. Now, of course, Zealots at this point has the advantage by simply owning 2 tributes that they will, with every spawning tribute, threaten a curse. But you're still in a spot where you're actually doing quite well. Now, with the vision granted here, Method needs to be cautious because they don't have Gust up. That was just used for the disengage. That's one of the big tools that you have when it comes to boss control. So they definitely need to be careful with this one.
Sorry, missing the spear. But at least take over the bush control. That boss will be leashed. Method runs over and grabs the mercenary camp instead, just kiting away, trying to find an error in Zealot's aggression play. Ethereal goes in for the jet propulsion, but needs to be careful, just trying to buy a little bit of space for his team.
And they're going to get the camp here, so there's a lot of time where Zealots were dancing around Method, but couldn't really get a lot done. Now they have still their globals. That's of course the big part. The bottom boss is super important, by the way, because Zealots have already pushed, have already suffered damage. Actually suffered damage at both of the keep walls, the top and the bottom. So both of the bosses are a huge threat, and that's something that Zealots have to account for, so they need to make sure that these are not taken. But as long as they have ETC up at the top, they can really start pushing through this. Falstad now, taking a camp on his own, can also retake the vision around the top lane. There's a camp in the mid lane, as we said earlier, which is now taken care of by Hanzo. But Zealots are all of a sudden the team that is pressure, that has to react to what's happening on the map instead of dictating the pace.
Head to the middle here, and they'll clear that up pretty quickly. Hanzo should help out with that. With him being spotted in the middle, Method continues to inch forward, trying to find Sonya here. Zarmony, though, playing on the edge of the cocoon, making sure not to get caught out.
I mean, even with the lead-in experience for Zealots now, I feel like the dynamic of the game has started to shift. After the initial 3 kills against Method, Method has really, from a macro perspective, brought this back home through the curse and that sustained fight that we saw. So now it, of course, comes down to who is going to grab this tribute up at the top. Is the position going to be good enough for Method to really fight for this one? There's very little playing around that team fight. You need to win it or you are going to be in trouble. If Method loses the team fight and Zealots get the curse, with the leading experience, as tiny as it might be, that they already have, they should be able to just snowball that.
Especially with the control they have on the map right now. They have top wave pushing in, middle as well, and bottom. If this curse goes over to Zealots, Method surely will take some damage, possibly a core kill. Method dances around this tribute, sets up pretty well here, watching Arcana here. Remember, that Cocoon has always been instrumental for them to force a fight.
Yeah, this is one of those moments when you're waiting for the copy. When is that going to be used? Jet Propulsion is also in play, and here we come once more. The Cleansing Touch coming through, stage dive, and the immediate gust trying to go for Mopsio. That didn't work out. Arrow came through and connected with one, the bunker in the back line, but Zarmany is low on his Sonya. And Ethereal is trying to just confirm the kill here, going in once again. But as the cooldowns are traded, Zealots are taking the position again.
ADRD, though, with that clone, goes in for an aggressive play, trying to put some damage on top of Ethereal. Makes Method back up, but Arcaner immediately turns around with the Burrow Charge, puts some damage on Zarmany.
Yeah, and that's actually a Cocoon where they're trying to drive the team fight away. Good move by Mopsio, again, coming out with a face melt immediately. Arcana low, but Zarmany has to be careful too. So a huge fight happening. The Divine Shield is out and they're trying to go for the kill against Hanzo. Palm is already being used, but does not get procced as Shrimpy backs off.
Shrimpy backs off, Ethereal goes back in. Jet Propulsion into a Burrow Charge. They set up Mopsio pretty well. Shad is nice and healthy though. He keeps dashing in and providing these heals.
Second bunker in the fight, but Method is starting to retreat here. They already lost infrastructure in the middle, and they give up. They give the curse over to Zealots, and Zealots react immediately with a quick boss, and thanks to Hanzo, they can grab that. This is a nightmare scenario for Method. They felt they were too low. They felt they couldn't fight any longer. But now they're going to get punished because the Zealots are a level ahead. They're one level away from level 20. They just took the boss. They have the curse. They have everything going for themselves. Down to the bot lane. The minions just took out a fort. The only thing Method can do is try and force a team fight and win it before the Zealots hit 20.
And they're trying to force that too. They don't want to also buy time for Abathur to push in that middle and bottom lane. Falstad immediately jumping on top of that boss, trying to shred it down as Zealots continue to move forward for the kill move. ETC with the stage dive. Drops in the knockback as well. Arrow comes out, but it whiffs.
Yeah, Arrow goes completely through, but here they're trying fighting behind the boss. That's not working out too well for them. The curse is still active, so that doesn't do anything for them. The keep is not helping. Here comes the copy. Double Hanzo is better than one. The bunker is there, and immediately the pressure play from the Zealots at the bot lane, the mid lane. Both of the keeps are all of a sudden under pressure, whereas up at the top lane, again, the team fight is starting up here. Zealots are trying to go for it. They're trying to go for the kill, but Mopsio is already in pressure. He gets palm to palm, not getting procced here, but they're pushing the fight back, and this keep is definitely going to fall.
The keep is going to fall. Shrimpy goes in for a little bit of damage here. Going to have the boss constantly moving forward, still at half health. Ethereal and crew trying to kite back where they can. Nick dropping in the lightning realm. Swippy just dropping shurikens. Arcana on the left side comes in and he has a Burrow Charge available.
20 is there, and now we have the keep in the mid lane. Also, again, being attacked here. The 20, the Storm Talent advantage. Is that going to be enough? The Gust is already being used, but of course down to 50% nearly. Dragon Blade comes out. Shrimpy trying to save the day here. Slicing and dicing, getting Hanzo, but that's not going to be enough. 5%, and it's over. We have game number 5 coming up as the Zealots take the victory on Cursed Hollow.
And that's what you want to see in the playoffs. Going to a game number 5. This series is going